Hey everyone, welcome to the LiberCast for the 63rd episode. I don't know if I said it right, but whatever. So thank you for being there, and everyone has been there as a guest, and the people who are following us on the comments and for the questions, and everybody who are new to the LiberCast and they want to know. The LiberCast is on YouTube. It's on Library Odyssey. It's on Facebook. The group is there. So if you want to have join the conversation and having all the updates, it's right there. So I'm having Marja tonight, and I'm so happy to have her back for her insights and wisdom, because we're gonna touch on something tonight that it's crucial to relook at it, because there's so much confusion, so much inversion on everything. Everything is touched essentially on the natural law part, and this is one of the biggest and most important natural law to understand and to demystify, because there's a lot of mystification behind it, and a lot of lies in the culture. So I just, before we start, I'm gonna bring up the One Great Work that we are part of. So this is the One Great Work network. We both, me and Marja, are into this network of working people who are great workers into the realm of the occult and knowledge and spirituality and things like that. So I invite you to go there. There's plenty of stuff there for keeping you awake all night long during years. It's incredible. All are different, all are very, very interesting. There's so much stuff there, like I just like that, the QB hole and this stuff there. It's mind-blowing. There's a lot of good worker there who are working so hard. So here we go, the onegreatworknetwork.com. So thank you, Marja, again for joining me for this episode.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me and for the invitation to continue our conversation. These are important topics to really dive into and get reacquainted with and pick apart. And because, as you said, there is so much distortion, so much, the Greeks will say fasarias. I call them fakarias, because a lot of the times, because of the inversion, we don't know which way is up or down. And then with the masculine and feminine, the distortion and the divide, it needs to stop. And that can only stop one person at a time, really being able to reflect and tune into themselves and look within and see exactly what they are up to, to find out, where they stand in their own relationship with the masculine and feminine, and the masculine feminine within.
Yeah.
So, I think part of unraveling the distortion is understanding the falseness of the matrix reality of the masculine and feminine, and how we are all under the spell of that distortion and that inversion, that satanic inversion.
Mm-hmm.
The mind control, trauma-based mind control programming of the war of the sexes, the moment we are conceived, the moment our mothers become pregnant with our being, unless, of course, we're one of the lucky ones where our parents were awakened, consciously conceived us, because they did the great work and they were able to extricate themselves from all of their mind control and exit the matrix and actually conceive us consciously outside of the matrix in the true quantum field universe. I know some of those folks, so it is possible. I'm not one of those lucky ones. I had to really fight my way out of a hellhole and start really excavating and unpacking the intricacy of my own mind control. And I don't kid around when I say that by the time we are conceived, we're already being programmed. White, pink booties, blue booties, and now there's rainbow booties. Okay. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I use that ridiculous example because that is the beginning of the automated bullshit that we as parents, as when we're endeavoring to have families, or we're endeavoring to kind of excavate our own traumas and look deeply into our childhoods and do the healing work, the great inner shadow work regarding our first cult, our families. If we don't look at that, all these automated scripts about what the men are all about, what women are about, what the masculine and the feminine are all about, they all become automated, and it's all a bunch of lies, So from that standpoint, that very, very beginning kernel, we have to really get conscious about, well, what is the reality? The reality is, no, we're not divided. But if we adhere to the matrix and we adhere to those automated scripts from our families, we have to remember that our relationships between men and women, between the masculine and feminine, are first predicated and downloaded to us through our mothers and fathers, regardless of whether they were in our lives or not. It doesn't matter. There is an energetic, psychic component that you cannot delete. Of course, whoever our caretakers were, whatever you witness in your caretakers, whether they had a relationship or not, their attitudes about men and women, all of that is also going to be overlaid and have an umbrella effect on how you grow up and how you also, set up your templates through experience throughout the whole of your life. So we need to be really, really conscious of all of that and start there. Start that internal dialogue and start really excavating that. And that work is painful. It's painful. A lot of us, I didn't want to do that work. I wanted to run away. In fact, that's what I did. I ran away for a long time. And then all of a sudden, you're in charge of children and you're raising children. And you realize the responsibility, or actually, some of us don't realize the responsibility of what it is to raise children. And you have to get real. So there's a reality check that happens because it's part of your evolution, whether you're in the matrix or not. It's also part of a rites of passage into adulthood. And then those of us who are doing this work and really understanding the difference that the world, the matrix, is not the planet. And then you start endeavoring to learn about the Hermetic principles and natural law, what truth is, what sovereignty is, what the human condition is within the matrix, as we are all slaves in the matrix, like it or not. The process of extricating ourselves from the matrix, from that programming, it is a lifelong process, my friends. It is not a one-off event. So going into the masculine and feminine, it really begins with ourselves. And so in the matrix, the masculine, feminine, the masculine is a man and the feminine is a woman. There's the divide right there. That is the divide and conquer, war of the sexes battle. And we cannot fall for it. And, you know, we've witnessed a lot of increments, a lot of iterations of those battles. And now we're divvying up the gender divide into all the fucking ridiculous pronouns for this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it is like, it's enough to like, it's nerve-wracking for me. Because now we have these fake man-made laws that can make you guilty of a hate crime if you don't get that shit right. So this is the extent of the divvying up and the divide, when in actuality, we, regardless of whether we're a man or a woman, male or female, we are animated by masculine, feminine energies, period. Every one of us. And those energies are not static. They are dynamic. They change moment to moment to moment, depending on the circumstances that are unfolding in the now as your life proceeds. And that is a very, very hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. It's amazing, you know, because I have a course called Masculine Feminine 101, and you cannot believe the shitstorm that I have actually had to weather when you endeavor to teach something like that. And for me, I find that work so sacred and so basic to our humanity that it just scares the shit out of me that it is met with such hate and such violent, you know, resistance.
Yeah.
Where I'm seen, because I talk this way, as a patriarchy apologist, because I won't get on the hate train, hating men.
Wow.
I know. And, you know, and that's part of my work. Part of my great work is waltzing in and out of those shitstoms, dropping these truth bombs, BALMS, not BOMBS, but it's received like I just exploded a bunch of shit in their faces and they can't take it. So a lot of that divide and conquer within, and that just shows me how deeply ingrained the concretization of the divide between the masculine and feminine, males and females, men and women are, to the point where they're going to attack somebody like me regarding this very, very, it's a very lovely, sweet offering, actually, because if you're willing to be brave enough and soft enough to receive, which is the feminine aspect of it, it's one of the feminine's gifts. And we each have this, whether we're a man or a woman, we have that energy of receptivity where we are soft enough to receive information that can be not just life-changing, but freedom evoking,
yes,
evolving,
yes,
embodying. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's
yes,
that,
absolutely.
It's this way.
So just for I know you already started talking about it, but I want to bring you back to where can the people get your work? Because there's a lot of new people in the LiberCast, on the LiberCast, new people. Where can
Yes.
we get your work?
Yes. Well, my YouTube channel, Love, Truth, and Beauty, is really the best place. All my content is there. It's free. And at this point, I have over, I think maybe 330 videos, close to 330 videos and I have all the playlists very well labeled so that you can look at my playlist tab. And I've got the playlist regarding Masculine Feminine 101, regarding the divide and conquer, exiting the matrix, trauma-based mind control, the 4 levels of relationship, reality creation, just on a natural law. All of it is there. And that is really the best place, because it's one of those things where I just cover so much material, and I don't do long form, which is really, really great. I used to do long form in my old channel, and I've changed my ways a little bit, because we need to receive this information in these bite-sized morselettes. Otherwise, if I throw a lot of the stuff at you, it's just kind of like this. You're just kind of like, what the fuck just happened to me? And and we don't need to have it like that. We're already dealing with enough shock and PTSD from the pandemic and all that fucking shit, and all the other stuff that's going on in the matrix to try to hijack our attention. So what I want to do is I want to receive your attention for just a few minutes, and then you can receive that, and then you can integrate it in your being, and your inner masculine and feminine can therefore work together and team up and integrate that information, because that information, my loves, is really, it's an activation of what you already are. I'm not telling you anything new. I am really giving you a transmission of your true nature that you don't have to go out and pay for. There's nothing to pay for here, because you already are that. And when you are operating from a place of sovereignty, you understand, based on the Hermetic natural law principles, everything is inside you already. The universe is mind. It is mental. Okay. That being said, everything in you is already there. And what you have to do is you have to unwind that mind control that tells you that you're not divine. Okay. And that is one of the first things that we have to understand. And it starts with the first principle of mentalism. Is to understand you have to correct your way of thinking about who and what you are. You are not your traumas. You do not say, I am my traumas. I am my programming within the matrix. I am my shitty childhood. I am Gooberman is slavery. It's bullshit. Okay, because you can utilize each one of those negative things. Okay, and you can change your mind about it. And rather than focus in upon what you don't want to say I am to, you can own your divinity. And from that place, make your map, make your intention, make your great work about what you are going to do to contribute to create the universe that you have inside you, that is contrary to what the matrix is telling you is reality, because it's not reality. It's one reality. And if you choose to say I am to it, that's when you're really kind of fucked, because then you're letting the universe, the matrix, tell you who and what you are. That is not how it works. And that is a big mistake for a lot of us, unraveling the truth and doing the great work and excavating the extent to which our slavery has got so many people. And it's a slippery slope, because, and I've been there where I gnashed against all the stuff I didn't like. And oh, I forgot to apply the principles. It's like, oops, and it's easy to do. And so we need to have the feminine receptivity and the masculine's active presence in taking action to make a lot of these shifts so in its materialization. Okay, because each one of us, we're here to move formless into form. Now, when it comes to creative energy, the unmanifested creative energy, that is masculine. The manifested creative energy is feminine. So when we start breaking things down, you start understanding that these energies of the masculine and feminine within us and outside of us is collaborative. Okay, one
Sure.
isn't better than the other. It is collaborative. They work in tandem, and they work in tandem with the balance of the left and right brain hemispheres.
And
Okay.
it's important to I found it good that you bring up the two sides, because essentially the occult is showing you how to fuse those parts together,
Yes.
not to make disappear certain qualities
Yeah.
of both, but to putting them together and making the children. And
Yes.
it's not coincidence that they're using this trinity for everything.
Yeah. 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 It is very their strategies are, forgive me for saying it, are brilliant, because they know how to work the principles. They understand it, and
Yes.
they work the principles for their own selfish reasons. And those selfish reasons have nothing to do with the emancipation of humanity from slavery.
It's
Nothing to do whatsoever with that. So we need to understand that it's not just about understanding these principles. It really is about embodying the totality of our emotional, energetic, creative template of the masculine and the feminine within. And you have to be able to do the great shadow work to
Mhm.
unhook and process all your animosity toward your mother, all your animosity toward your father, animosity towards women, towards men, toward authority. The only way you access your own inner sovereignty is you become your own authority. And that's going to require your inner masculine and feminine to be able to communicate with each other, to not be at war with each other. And that is a tricky part of doing the great shadow work. And for me, for a very long time, because I raised children, I worked back in the 80s when I was young. I was trying to be all that I could be. I knew about the Hermetic principles. I wasn't quite sure how to apply them, and then you realize, hey, you know what? This shit, living consciously, it's not mutually exclusive. You have to integrate, and you have to be very, very clear. And one of the things that I was very clear about is that as a woman, I was mostly in my masculine, being out there in the world, doing. And my feminine was very, very tired. I was exhausted all the time. I was co-parenting 3 kids. I was working, I was creating, I was doing music. I was also doing the spiritual work. I was also unwinding a lot of my abuse stuff from my childhood. It was a very, very, very tall order. And what I realized is I started getting frustrated. Me as a woman, I was getting frustrated. And I was coming across to a lot of people, including men and women, as this fucking asshole bitch. And why? Okay. It was because I was basically, my inner feminine was emasculating my inner masculine, okay? Because my inner masculine was doing everything. And that was being expressed through this feminine body in this doing. And if I had it to do all over again, I probably would do it. But I would hope that in hindsight, I would be able to apply the principles, because in my shadow self that I was not aware of, I have the divide where I didn't respect men. I didn't grow up with a father. So I don't even know what that is. And not to condemn men, or and not to, cry over not having a father, but I didn't have that template. So my template was given to me by my man-hating mother, who believed you can't depend on a man. You got to do it all yourself. Blah, 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 blah. So I grew up with that. And the realization that I had, it was an epiphany where I realized, I am cutting off the balls of my inner masculine. Oh, whoa. And that is a very, very sharp realization when you realize as a woman, when I realized as a woman how disrespectful I was to the doing part of myself, my inner masculine, who was taking direction from me as a feminine essence person, as a woman, and he couldn't do anything right. He couldn't do it fast enough. He couldn't do it well enough. He couldn't complete it. He was always behind, behind. And I learned this through watching my own mother. And so when we connect the dots about how the shadow portion of our parents really reflect and affect our relationships, not only with ourselves, but particularly with our relationship with our inner masculine and feminine, that is a very powerful moment, because you realize, wow. And this is part of the Hermetic principles. It is me. I'm doing it. I am doing it to myself because my thinking is incorrect. I have these thought forms, these belief structures that I have not challenged. Okay. And so you work the principles. One of the things that I had to do is like, okay, if it's me and that is being manifested, you activate the principle of correspondence. Whatever's going on in here is going to be reflected in the outer world and the outer reality. So I had to check myself on that. Okay. And that's what you do. You go down all of the principles and you apply, and you see where things are flawed, why they are going awry, because of something that you are saying, I am too. And, this is part of the dance between the masculine and feminine that is very, very flow oriented. That's why I say the energies of the masculine and feminine, when they're not concretized, they are going to move and groove and dance with each other. The masculine is going to step back and your feminine is going to be in the forefront, and vice versa, depending on how the circumstances, how your life is unfolding in the moment, and what is being called, so that you can actually take action or be in active stillness and receive. So it really does depend on what's going on in the moment. And that's hard for a lot of people to understand, because in the matrix, you either do it or you don't. And there's so many formulaic life trajectories and scripts that go unquestioned. And when you ask people, well, why did you do that? That's just what we do. It's an automated response. And when you think about it, it's like, what? It doesn't make any sense. But it's an easy answer when you're a zombie, because you're just mimicking what your parents had done before and so on and so on and so on. And then as a parent, you end up teaching that bullshit to your kids. And whoa. And I have worked in my private practice with 4 generations of family, unraveling the templates of the masculine and feminine and the role playing between men and women, mom and dad, and, you know, just the iterations across the generations of, you know, how we're supposed to do our lives based on our false assumptions about women and our false assumptions about men.
Sure, there's a lot of cultural conditioning behind that,
Yes.
and
Yes.
essentially, uh, there's not a true model
Yeah.
of
We're
both.
making the model.
Exactly, and
We are.
this is a so crucial. And you talked about natural law, and why is gender is at the end of natural law is because it's the generative principle.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So, and
And that's part of what you're saying I am to be very, very clear. Are you
yes,
life affirming or are you part of the death cult? I mean, that's what it all boils down to uh, in the Matrix. Because when you start really noticing it's not even a compromise, it's just a blatant soul sucking lie, soul sucking lies that they go on and on and on and on and on. And media, social media, videos, movies, television, all of those programming.
yes,
I don't know if you've noticed this, but none of those relationships are higher conscious relationships. They're based on narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic psychodramas of lies and betrayal, cheating, killing, raping and pillaging. And you're just like, what? So where are these templates? Or you have the opposite, which is, I find these mostly on like the Instagram, where you have these couples parading around and posing like, oh, look at our perfect lives. And we've got this and that, and everybody looks good. And, it's like, stop. I can't take it, because it's not real. It's like a fairy tale. They don't live happily ever after. They walk into the sunset, and then they're bitching at each other. They're ready to punch each other out. So, it's like we have to be aware of what we're saying I am to in terms of our focused attention. And I believe in like, the power of discernment. And
yes,
our feminine and our masculine, we trade off on being discerning, okay? Because the masculine has a very protective, very solid way of being in that defending mode, especially when there is energy coming at us that is potentially dangerous and harmful, that
yeah,
can potentially hurt us, kill us.
yeah.
Whereas,
It's
yeah,
literally influencing the society that we're in.
yes,
So if men are emasculated, the culture is going to transform. The
yes,
relation between men and women will change,
yes,
and
yes,
when there's no balance, there's chaos, and this
yes.
is what we're having now.
Oh, it's totally what we're having. I mean, the whole fake feminism movement, and then the adulation of single momdom, and then we're turning around and we're disrespecting men who decide to stay at home, and we're calling them pussies. It's like, really? What the fuck? And when you actually dissect masculine, feminine energies, okay? Masculine energy, whether you're a man or a woman, male or female, it doesn't matter, is energy that starts from our hearts and moves outside of us toward a child, toward a cause, toward the great work. That is masculine energy. It is essentially nurturing and nurturing a cause. Okay, so, and then women get pissed. Sound asleep zombie women get pissed in the Matrix because they don't want motherhood, and they're offended. They're offended by it. They don't want anything to do with it. They want to abort their children. They want to murder babies and do all that kind of shit. And it's justified. My body, myself. And here's the thing, is that nurturing energy that they're so offended by and they're so sick of is masculine energy in action. It's not feminine. You know, it can be part of the feminine anima to take care of things. But in terms of the energy of moving from yourself to outside of yourself, that is not the receptive principle. It's actually gifting, giving. That is the masculine principle of gifting, giving. And it's our seventh sense. It's part of our seventh sense. The other part of our seventh sense is our ability to magnetize and receive. And these aspects are very, very important in materialization and manifestation in physical reality. And so our seventh sense is actually very important. And I really correlate it to the eighth principle, the lost principle of care.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
This is because if we care enough about truth, about our sovereignty, about applying these principles, about applying the great work for fucking real, okay? This is not about grabbing one of Mark's memes that he and Leah created long, long ago and slapping it on there. I'm doing the great work. Bullshit. Do you even know what the fuck it means? Would you know how to actually apply your bullshit against these great principles? I fucking doubt it. I fucking doubt it.
Maria, I want to just bring something, because you talk
Yes.
about the great work, and I would add that the great work is actually both masculine and feminine
Absolutely.
joined together.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
and just not only that what Maria is trying to say is that men can be caring and nurturing too.
Absolutely. They are. They
without
are.
compromising their masculine integrity.
Yes. Yes. And when women are in that role, they are in their masculine, which is why they get pissed, because their feminine isn't being taken care of. So we have to understand why we're pissed. Yeah, we can't just blame it categorically on men and the patriarchy, okay? Because the matriarchy and the patriarchy are same. They are two sides of the same bullshit coin of divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
They are at war with each other. They do not work together. That's not what it is in the Matrix, okay? The Matrix has set that up to go to war.
And men can be caring and nurturing, and women can be leaders.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just because we can see it, you know, mothers and grandmothers that take care of the children, and they're leaders. This is a kind of leadership.
Yes, absolutely. And that is a wonderful thing to bring up, because we are so in that kind of mindset that younger is better, and that once you reach a certain age, that's it. You're done. You have nothing to say. You're old hat. You're a fossil, that kind of thing. You're shriveled up. I know that for myself as a grandma, people get really surprised that I have so much energy. Well, I have a lot of energy because I'm animated. I have a lot of creative things when we are endeavoring to create content, to have a passion and a purpose, this is a masculine energy endeavor, okay? To do to do these steps in order to materialize, okay? That divine inspiration is the receiving mode of the feminine to receive the idea. And then the iteration of actually doing the incremental step by step by step to make it so and to materialize it, that is our masculine. And so we have to be able to come together within ourselves and have that peace, because that is the only way. When you have that peace within, you can have that peace with humanity, men and women, because then you've mastered the actual collaboration between the masculine and feminine energies. Because without that mastery of collaboration, you are going to be at war. Something is going to trigger you, and you're going to go off into la la land and treat someone with disrespect, because, you know, whatever it is, whatever your story is, and I assure you, whatever that you're witnessing, you got it going on inside, and it's some kind of flawed belief structure, okay, that you are saying I am too, that is contrary to your divinity and your sovereignty, and it is being played out in the theater of the outer screen and the world, showing you, mirroring to you. Maybe you ought to rethink that. You know, maybe you ought to check yourself and really start making the, and sometimes it's just a small little correction that you have to do in your thinking, and then it changes instantly.
I have
And
a
then,
question for you.
yes.
Okay, so do you I don't like this word believe, but do you
Mhm.
believe that men can do what women do are in the family and vice versa? Can
Yes.
absolutely you think that we
Absolutely.
can do
Absolutely.
both?
I think all the roles that
Yeah.
are assigned to men and women in the matrix is complete, utter caca. We all have those abilities and those talents. We may not want to do them, but we are all capable of it. You know, so the polarization of, you know, men's work, women's work, I want to smack people when I hear this, you know, men's work, women's work, blah blah blah, you know, it's like, no. And so what I want to point out about that, because I work with couples, you know, really endeavoring to align themselves consciously as partners and collaborators in not just love but in life. Some of them have businesses together, raising children, having businesses together, or having separate businesses and being together and endeavoring to build a future, you know, consciously. And so one of the things that I have to point out is that when we're doing the excavation of the masculine and feminine dynamics, particularly what we witnessed in our first cult, our tribe, between our mothers and fathers or our caretakers, it is very, very important to understand and to ask the question, do these two people really belong together? Because a lot of our parents, you know, they really didn't ask the question. They were hijacked by sexual attraction. And, you know, sexual attraction is not a good foundation for a collaboration between men and women. It is very short lived, and it's filled with drama, because it's not sustainable if you don't have shared values, a shared universal worldview, a shared morality. You have to ask those questions before you can actually build something that is sustaining. And in the Matrix, it's all about hot sex and oh, he's got the greatest butt in the world. It's like, I hear people fucking talking about this and banking on a lifelong partnership based on these superficial attributes. And I'm just like, dear boy, God is all that is. Really, just calm down and help us here, because these are ridiculous, unconscious, superficial, in the matrix, low vibe notions. And this is our dating scene. This is dating apps, and it's
let me tell you something that I'm very interested into the two factions of the war of the sexes.
Yes.
Actually, I'm talking about neo-feminism and then the MGTOW.
Yeah, the MGTOW
and the MRA community.
Right.
And they're both wrong and
they are
right at
very,
the same
very
time.
wrong. And I understand.
Yes.
I understand, on a very the superficial premise.
Yes.
But it's still based on misunderstanding
Yes.
and lack of doing the shadow work to integrate and make friends with your inner feminine and masculine. These neo-feminists, they're fucking ball-busting bitches. I'm just going to fucking say it. And why? It's because they haven't worked out their fucking daddy issues. They haven't. And a lot of our daddy issues is from witnessing really, really bad behavior. But it also is, and I'm going to say it, I will get hell for it. Okay, because part of the matrix and the hijacking of sexuality is pushing the sex positive, anything goes, everything goes, and fuck you if you don't like it. Okay, I mean, whatever, do whatever you want. I don't need to know about it. I don't, it's none of my fucking business. But here's the thing: when we're endeavoring to have conscious, awakened relationships that are loving, that are about sovereignty, that are aligned with natural law and the Hermetic principles, okay? You cannot fuck your brains out without consequence. There is an energy exchange in unconscious sex. And women are going to take it on in their yonis, and men are going to take it on in their penises. And everybody that you're with, that exchange, that yuck, that unconsciousness that you're picking up from everybody that you've been with and everybody they've been with, okay, that energy is very substantive and it accumulates. And if you haven't done the shadow work and you haven't cleared your sexual cache history, you're fucked, because you are going to be passing that down and spreading it around. And it's not the good stuff to spread around. So that's part of the sort of danger and hijacking within the matrix of sexuality, and forcing that down our throats. Forcing it down our children's throats. I mean, give me a break. Stop. It's just, what it's doing is that it's creating more chaos.
Yes.
And it is escalating the trauma-based mind control of, dare I say it, and I will say it because I should have said this when I was talking about the masculine feminine programming at our conception. We are all programmed to be sex slaves the moment we're conceived, if we have not been conceived consciously through conscious parents. And most of us do not fall in that category. I mean, we don't. And we have to work our way through that maze, align ourselves with a significant other who matches our morality, matches our values, matches our worldview, want to have children. If you're dating somebody who doesn't want to have children and you do, get the fuck out. What are you there for? What do you think? That she's going to change her mind? He's going to change his mind? And that's what people do. They are not listening, and they're not asking the questions. We're just going to we're just going to leave it. And, hopefully we'll get to a point where we're all on the same page. I mean, it's a stupid assumption. It's really unconscious and just magical, stupid thinking, honestly, you know. And
I
so
mean,
we always
there.
tell people you
Yes.
have to ask those questions first and foremost within yourself. What are your values? What is it that you want to create with your significant other? And if you're going to have a family, what are your values? The values have to match up.
Yes.
You've
Absolutely.
got to
And
be okay with it. And here's the thing with when it comes to roles, and I hear this a lot because I know women that don't want to be the stay-at-home mom, and they are perfectly okay being mated, matched up with a man who's willing to do that, who wants to do that. And it's not about role playing, it's about your priorities and what it is that you want, what you want for yourself and for your significant other, and how you want to make a family, how you want to create. So these roles, you know, these roles are not concrete, but in the matrix, now that's men's work, that's women's work. We can't mix and match. Oh, please stop it. It's just so, it's so antiquated, you know? It's like we can do anything. We're human beings having a spiritual experience. And you know, the universe is mental. It's of mind. We can create what we want.
yes.
So the role playing of, you know, this is all women's work, this is only men's work. I mean, it's just, please. It's nonsense.
We're talking about inversion
Yes.
of fundamental principles.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So we're seeing it very much in these times. We are in times of confusion and
Yes.
obfuscation and
Yeah.
deception. You know, and we can we the trend of emasculation is a long time agenda.
Yes. Yes. And
I
it's
mean, it,
hijacked and it's
yes,
being weaponized. Like
yes,
I've met quite a number of these kinds of men who are the goddess worshipers, and they are these beta men who, you know, first of all, they don't have their shit together. And when I say that, I'm not being emasculating. Okay. One of the things we have to understand, and I want to point this out before I go further, is that when it comes to the masculine and feminine within both men and women, the masculine part of us is the part of us that has purpose and drive and an aspiration. In other words, an offering back to the universe. That is the job of the masculine within. Okay. And if a man or a woman does not have this drive or doesn't know what it is that they want to create or has no direction, they are not trustable. You can't trust them because they will lead you into chaos. They have not integrated their masculine and feminine within, and they are not aligned in their true purpose and why they are on the planet. And so I wanted to point that out because, you know, there's a lot of controversy right now, and I'm hearing this, well, you know, she doesn't have her shit together, he doesn't have his shit together. And yeah, we need to have purpose. We need to have a vision of our lives, you know, not this directionless kind of, you know, without focus. Because, you know, when you don't have focus upon an aspiration, you don't have the aspiration to give back to the planet. I call that drifting or grifting. And you're just kind of like aimlessly existing, you know. And a lot of the people that I meet who are doing this, they're not happy. They're not happy at all. And they're drinking and drugging and whoring and doing all kinds of stupid things. And bringing children into the world that they have no means and no intention of taking care of. That is not right. And women do it too. So this is not a man thing or a woman thing. It's just part of our inverted human nature, where we're just going to succumb to our unconscious urges and just succumb to them without any consequence, without any personal responsibility of what you are up to and what you're not up to.
Oh,
So,
sure. The hedonist
yes,
part of society is a big thing,
yes,
and you the pattern are there. The young adults are just like into this mindset of having fun, and you only live
right,
once, and all
right.
these bullshit
Yeah,
quotes that
it's
they're
that
giving themselves.
overindulgence in
Yes.
whatever. And and that is just, it's part of being too much in that new age bullshit and not being
Yeah.
in balance with the doing the action aspect of the energy that animates you. And
D-
that is in both men and women. And it's not a good thing
no.
to be stuck in that or be addicted to that, and not to be able to put forth, because you have no focus, the
And
offering that each one of us has,
let- I
whatever
wanted,
that is.
and what what is the consequence for men
Well, the
for
consequence
being
for
unbalanced?
men.
What is your opinion about what is a man who is, what is the qualities of an emasculated man? What consequence
Yeah,
of such imbalance?
no direction.
Yes.
um no direction, quite often illness, listlessness, or being a predator to a woman who has the an unfortunate consequence of partnering up with you, where she just has to take care of you, and you are just letting her do it. You're basically psychically vampirizing her because you don't have your own thing going on. And so it's that sort of listlessness and the sort of quality of, because you're not generating your own energy, you are usurping somebody else's.
Hmm.
And before you know it, that dynamic is fucking ugly. It is just ugly. And it works the other way too, because there are a lot of women who don't want to work. They don't want to have direction. They just want to hang out, and they want to, go shopping and doing all that role playing stuff. Those are second level relationships in the matrix, where they find some dude that is, and of course, these women, they have to match the criteria of this man who's willing to put up with their bullshit, or willing to, pay for doctoring them up physically, so that they can have the eye candy on their arm. Those are the role playing relationships. Those are second level relationships. And the reverse of it, where you've got the woman who's actually in power and the weak masculine, it's just not pretty. It's not pretty. It's not healthy. It just isn't healthy. And it really leads to a lot of really unconscious, criminal, narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic behavior. It's very, they're both predators, if you ask me,
I mean,
because they're both preying on each other. Even if they
yes.
have, the sort of the agreement that this is okay, it's not really okay, because it is based on a very disturbing compromise of your soul's integrity, for instance, or the integrity of your creative energy.
Because
You know,
I mean, I just want to add that Yes, actually, I agree with the no direction and predatory behavior.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I
Because
mean,
it has to come from somewhere.
this the predatory behavior is coming from the from both sides. We're talking about imbalance,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because it's not tempered,
Yes. Yeah.
the attention spent and the basic primal needs are not tempered, and it
Yes.
can happen on both men and women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what what men will become is a inactive, passive,
Yes. Yeah.
and feminized men, and they're
Yeah.
not gonna take action, and
Yeah.
they're
No, they're
not
not.
gonna defend themselves.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah.
they're gonna wait for validation.
Exactly. Exactly. And so they'll do anything for validation,
Yes.
except actualize themselves,
Hmm.
because that self actualization is not going to require outside validation. It's something that comes from within, because it's that drive from within, especially when you've been downloaded and you received the mission or the inspiration of what it is that you want to gift back to the planet. And and I've actually worked with men who are, they're just kind of like aimless, and it's one thing to explore that sort of unstructured way of life, but it's not sustainable. That's something that you do temporarily, okay, to quote unquote find yourself. But if you're like in your mid 20s, 30s, 40s, trying to figure out what the fuck, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And that uh, undertaking that excavation of shadow work, wow, there's a lot that needs to be addressed there,
Hmm.
because you know most likely there is an immense amount of trauma from the tribal experience, whether it was perpetrated by my mother or father, or the absence. I mean, who knows? Okay, there's a lot of different iterations, and the thing is that men, unfortunately, and it really is, because, and this is becoming less and less, but what I've noticed over the years, and in my private practice, is that men tend to, and it is no fault of theirs, it is part of the programming within the matrix, that it allows men to really suffer needlessly, and really remain emotionally stunted, for lack of a better way to put it, because it is not allowed. The programming doesn't allow it. And if you're ridiculed, you're blacklisted, you're called names, you're guilted, you're shamed by your peers and by
Yeah.
other people. It's like, so the the process of men coming out of the shadow work into awakened consciousness, in their, and the balancing and the rectifying of their masculine and feminine divide from within, it is really, really hardcore. It is a process that is painstaking, and it's very, very, very challenging for men to be able to do that, because you're just not allowed to do it. And quite often for men, just like with women, you have to have an activated pain body to get the fuck out of your own way, to be willing to do the shadow work and pull your head out of your butt, and own your sovereignty. And that usually happens with a bad breakup, where your girlfriend, your wife, whatever, just decides, fuck you, I've had enough. And she's gone, your kids hate you, or you lose all your money and your business, or you have some catastrophe health-wise, a life-threatening disease, a life-threatening injury, uh, uh, intense loss of some sort. And these are the factors that will like wake up men into, oh shit, what have I been doing? And sometimes this is what it takes. We women, we have a more intense pain body because of the collective pain body of the atrocities against women historically. So, and we all have that template, by the way, because many of us, men included, have had different lifetimes as women, and women have had different lifetimes as men. So we have these urgings, and the urgings are part of our true divine creative natures calling us out. Come back, come back, come back. And then it takes, these presentations, your work, my work, the work of many, many, many that have come before us and will come after us to inspire that awakening. And so, I love having these conversations about the masculine and feminine because, as I say, this is nothing new. This is just remembering who and what we are, and remembering, acknowledging the energies that are inherent, that animate our physical bodies, because it's easy to forget, when we're caught up in what I call the sort of yaya gaga zaza of the world, it just faster, 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 time and all that kind of stuff. And to, get back in that sovereign place. So men have the work cut out, and it's not helpful that the neo-feminism and all the man haters and all the men that want to sit there and kiss their asses because they're looking for a free ride. It doesn't help the cause of real men who are struggling with real issues of awakening and up-leveling, the willingness to take responsibility.
And this is and I want to add, because I like when you're going on. I like it very much. I love your divine femininity. I like it very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.
So, and there's no secret for being into a relationship, a long lasting relationship. It depends on what behavior you're doing, what kind of knowledge that you're taking in, and
Yes.
it's about work. You
Yes.
have to work. Nothing is there for free.
Yeah,
I'm in
it's
the
very true.
I'm with my my I don't like to say my wife, but we're married from for years, and we're 17 years into the making, and it's
Beautiful.
always a renewing. We have to take time together and then talk,
Yes.
and then what we need, what our need, because we're changing
Yes.
and we're growing old, and we don't have the same idea or the same thinking. So it's
Yes.
always about introspection. What
Yes.
How do I feel about myself? How what
Yes.
do I feel about my companion that I have in my life?
Yeah.
And it's always a work in progress. And I
Wow.
would have that even after all these years that I
Yes.
heal
Yeah, you
myself,
don't go
and I'm
on autopilot. This is not about
yes.
I was just so it's just, it can be easy. You have to have the
Hmm.
intentionality of that flow. I think easy for me is about the flow. We flow from day to day, and we have these common threads. And we also have our diversity, our differences that we allow each other to be as we are and allow each other to be different as we are too. So that's part of it. It's the dance, it's the, you know, the tango. And sometimes you're in the lead, sometimes she is in the lead,
Yes.
and that's what it is. And
Yes.
it's that the mutual support, the mutual respect,
Yes.
especially. And that's one of the things in the divide and conquer, is that the disrespect between the sexes in the matrix is like, it's mind blowing to me. And to see the templates for relationship on media, in movies, and in sitcoms, or in these TV series, it's like shocking the way they talk to each other. It's like, no,
Hmm.
no, 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 no. And you know, that contempt, the criticism, the sort of stonewalling, and then the also having to one up your partner, or to put them in their place, or to gaslight them. It's like, no,
Yes.
these
Gaslighting. Oh
behaviors
my God.
are not okay. This is not normal. These are not conscious partnerships. These are
No.
toxic relationships. These are toxic behaviors. And, you know,
Can
eh, yeah,
can you, Maria,
yes.
tell people what gaslighting is,
So,
please?
gaslighting is when you are sharing your reality with someone, and that someone blatantly dismisses it and tells
Yes.
you that that's not true. That's not true. You're imagining things that never happened. It's basically dismissing your reality and your experience because they know better than you. And it is a very disrespectful way. And what it does is that it sets up a relationship where your reality gets to be questioned. And when it happens enough times in a relationship, a friendship, it happens in families a lot. You start really questioning your sanity, questioning your reality, questioning your ability. Uh, did I really not say that? Like, and you start questioning reality. But what it is, it's a tactic of control. It's
Yes.
a tactic of this person that you're in relationship with, whether it's a partner or a business partner, somebody trying to undermine you, okay, and get you to feel off balance, and relinquish your authority to them.
It's
Never
it,
do it.
it's
Don't
so
do it.
insidious.
Oh, it's
It's a
bad.
very
Very.
lowbrow
Yeah.
mind control.
Yeah.
And
It is mind
why it's
control.
so
Exactly.
insidious, it's because most people don't know about it, so they
Yeah.
cannot be free from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it's important to get into the description there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a way of the other person to take information about you and twist it in such a way that they're able to use it as a weapon to get you unsteady, to get you to doubt yourself. And it is not cool. It's evil. It's very, very, very destructive. And I've heard of people that do it and they don't even know they're doing it. It's just,
Yes.
it's terrible.
Yes.
It's terrible. Yeah.
And it's and I just want to get back at the roots of, because we're explaining a cultural phenomenon and an epigenetic phenomenon at the same
Yes.
time. And it's we can heal the divide between
Yes.
these aspects of our brain, but we can do it in the real world too. But we have to do it inside of us.
Yes.
Everything in the healing, the great work that what we're doing, Maria is doing it for way longer than me, and it's so important to have solutions and things that we can practice. So I'm having someone in the comment, we cannot see them in the stream for some reason. It's all fucked up. But I'm following on Facebook, and she was, how can I heal my masculine side. Do you have any idea how we can do that?
Yes. So, one of the ways that we can do that for ourselves is that we can actually, it's a journaling exercise where you write down a list of attributes of the masculine that, and these are positive attributes of the masculine
Yeah.
that you want to embody for yourself. So, when we're applying the natural law hermetic principles, we start with everything is within. You are already complete. So, in your intentionality to heal your masculine, you already have the healed masculine within. And one of the ways we can connect to that is make a list of all the attributes of your up-leveled masculine. And by doing that, what you're doing is you're self-talking through self-love the positive aspects of your masculine within. And you can also do that with your feminine within. And you can also journal it in a way where your inner feminine perhaps writes a note, a letter to your inner masculine, thanking your inner masculine for these attributes. And journaling is such a powerful way to wake up and stay awake. And it's one of those self generating practices that I recommend to everybody, because what you're doing is you're excavating your mind, putting it down on paper. And I suggest paper. I don't suggest doing it on your phone. I don't suggest doing it on your computer. There is a power that happens when you are excavating your thoughts and writing them down on paper. The action of it, you're activating your masculine by receiving. Your feminine is receiving, and then you're activating it, you're writing it down, you're doing it, and there it is. It's being materialized on paper. And you can connect with it because it's the heart, mind, body, soul coordination that you're activating when you're journaling. And especially when you're journaling and doing the shadow work, the great work of the shadow work. So I hope that's helpful, but start there. And just witness the qualities of uh, just masculine attributes that you like, that you find very helpful, that you find very pleasing for yourself. And that's part of it. You know, we don't have suffering. It's okay to have the intention of receiving pleasure, of being pleased by what it is that you are up to. So, you know, I wanted to point that out. So I
Yes.
hope that's helpful.
And there's plenty of way of doing it, but it's a case by case scenario in this place. I from my experience, I had to heal these parental abandonment issues in my
Yes.
life, and they were the cause of all this chaos in my own life.
Yes.
When I realized about it, and the first thing I did is start nurturing myself, and start taking care of myself, and not just thinking about it. It's doing something about it. When you
Yes.
feel off, you must do something about it. Not
Yes.
praying, not meditating, because meditating will bring you into an extreme in the feminine side. It's gonna
Yes.
bring you to naivete and how to say that,
The sort of, and
you're
you're,
gonna believe anything.
yes.
It's very important to stay objective, and this is the word I'm using a lot,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
objectivity is, it's a it's a central point into it, because you cannot go totally off and totally out of it, and it's very important to bring balance to it. And we're talking
Yes.
about rhythm and
Yes.
cycles, because
Oh, wow.
we're
Yes.
the worst form of the violence and abuse is the one you're doing to yourself.
Absolutely. That is so so true. And one of the first steps in, and especially when you're witnessing something that you're up to that you really don't like, is to move into that place of acceptance. Activate your feminine, receive the information, because in that acceptance and that reception, you're going to feel it when it lands. Okay. And
Yes.
it will activate your masculine. It activates the both of them so that they team up together to help you move through whatever is going on in that moment. But
And
when we're we're shocked by it, or we identify it, accepting it is not saying I am to it. It's acknowledging,
yes,
okay, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. Okay, next, let's move to the next thing. Because a lot of times when we're not accepting, we're pushing up against it, or we're shaming ourselves. Oh, I don't want to look at that. And it makes it worse. It puts us into inertia, or it puts us into this state that perpetuates self-violence. And we don't want to do
yes,
that. We don't want to perpetuate self-violence or self-murder. Not okay. We don't want to do that. All these shadow aspects are
yes.
being activated because they are ready. It means that you are ready to take responsibility for it.
Just want to bring an example, because
Mhm.
just to tell people, let's say you have you're enduring something, and it's something happens, and then you're gonna have your feminine aspect. It's gonna be your emotional response. It's gonna be the greater understanding. And then you're gonna, if you don't have the control, you're gonna be stuck in this position, and you're gonna act and behave emotionally, and it's not balance. So you have, let's say you have a trauma, you see something, you live something, then you have to take it inside and then do something about it. The masculine quality of it, it's doing something about it. It's like you have the emotional response, the greater response, and then you have the action and wisdom part. I'm skipping through things there because I want to get,
Yeah,
but
that's
we're
so great. That's so great. And oh, I'm sorry, Fred. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no problem. I just wanted to bring the trivium and the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom part. We're talking another trinity there.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
keep coming back to this tree aspect.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. And the action can be as simple as, like I said before, journaling, putting it down on paper, and dissecting it,
Yes,
working with the inner dialogue that you hear, giving each one of those aspects a voice, and find out what they are wanting to express, what is being suppressed there, and excavate that. That is part of the action principle, is
yes.
asking the questions. The feminine receives the answers, and you write it down, you journal it, you put it down on paper. Okay.
What
And
what is
that
the golden
engages the masculine and feminine together.
what is the golden rule, Maria?
Do unto others as you would like to have done unto you. So the
Yes,
gentleness
yes,
of our the self talk. Okay. And this is so important. It is so important. And this is where the feminine comes in, the gentle, soft feminine. When you speak to yourself, and especially when you're feeling off balance and you're feeling agitated and troubled and you're upset, we each have this feminine voice that is very gentle and very soft. It is important to engage her. Now, this is whether you're a man or a woman, okay? This is the mother aspect within each of us, okay? Because in doing the great work and in working with the shadow selves based on our experience within our childhood, what you're essentially doing when you're doing the shadow work is that you are reparenting yourself. And that softness and that sweetness of that sweet, gentle self-love, self-talk, up leveling that is you remothering yourself. And that is so important in the dissolving the divide, dissolving the innate programmed animosity toward women, toward softness, especially when we've been immersed in the patriarchy of doing, and also immersed in the opposite of the patriarchy of the matriarchy, which is just as harsh, which is saying, fuck you, man. Okay, we don't want that. So in the remothering process, we are learning to speak gently, speak softly to those parts of us that are identified by our inner child selves. And that is so important to do because so many of us are suffering from PTSD of being abandoned, being neglected,
Yeah.
because our parents were not grown-ups. They were also children that
Yes.
had not yet grown up, and perhaps they never have. I mean, that happens a lot. We come into these family systems where we end up being the parent to our mothers and fathers. And the same is true when we're refathering ourselves. What we're doing is that we're owning not just our sovereignty, but our own inner authority. And it is the embodiment of the balanced masculine and feminine within, where we embody that inner monarchy, the inner queen, the inner king,
Yes.
not to lord over other people, no, but to be self-responsible for what you are up to, all the thoughts that you're thinking, what you're feeling, and your reactivity or your response, and the actions that you take. So it's all encompassing. So yeah, and so you can see if you don't have that from within. I mean, look at the fucked up world we're in. Look at the people, the powers that want to be. I mean, these are fucking high chair tyrants, for fuck's sake, and they talk as if they're grown-ups, and they're just bullies is what they are. And they don't care about life. They don't care about the planet, because they're mind controlled to talk over, walk over, violate over anything that isn't them.
What and tell just I mean, I want to bring that up because I think it's a straight to the face attack on femininity. We talked about masculinity, but there's a violent assault on femininity now. They're
Yes.
mocking the principles of and the qualities, the feminine qualities
Yes.
into women, mostly women, but because they want to destroy the nurturing, the
Yes.
care aspect. And so
Yes.
they're tempering it, they're modifying. We're getting into the Lilith. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but the Lilith, the
Yes. Lilith.
demon, the
Yes.
feminine demon aspect
Yes.
of, and
Yeah.
it's very, very destructive
And
because
they're
yeah,
romanticizing that destruction.
exactly.
It's like crazy talk.
Yes.
Yikes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we're seeing now because we talked earlier about hedonism and things
Yes.
like that, and I've seen in plenty of stuff because I'm following all this feminist, meninist, LGBT
Yeah,
garbage that we have,
right.
and um, there's a pattern of inversion of both, you know,
Yes,
and I think the goal, the main goal of this is to destroy the family unit, is to destroy the intimate relationship between men and women,
I
and
agree.
the family at the same time. So we're masculinating women, we're giving them the father's role, we're giving them the masculine aspect, and then we're inverting them. It's not, it's I'm not saying that it's worse in a side or the other. It's worse in every sides,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we can't see the patterns.
Yeah,
And
it's a
we
distortion. It's a
yes, and
distortion that, and what it does is that it takes the emotional reactivity of a lot of the atrocities. Okay,
yes,
I'm not giving a pass to the atrocities and the wounds. Well, I'm not doing
yes,
that. I'm not willfully ignoring it. But these shitstems of the divide, they will weaponize your emotions
yes,
to get you to war, to get you to forget your divinity and just say fuck it. You know,
here we go,
this
here
is
we go.
this is over. This is over, and there's just no point in a higher order. Fuck it. And I know a lot of women, I know a lot of men have thrown in the towel because they're so overrun by their unconscious masculine or their unconscious feminine
Yes,
that they don't know any better. They are literally automated, weaponized zombies of reactivity.
yeah, and they're not searching for a companion. They're women who are like that. They're searching for a father,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
the vice versa for men. So
yeah,
they want a substitute for the the other gender. So
yes.
they're not searching, and now it's so easy. No, not that easy, but people are flickering their cell phones on these matching apps, and
That is
it's a
so.
mess. It's a
It is a
mess.
it's a shit show of a
Yeah.
mess, and I've kind of made fun of it, and I actually have a video on utilizing those dating apps with intentionality. It's pretty hilarious, because me, I'm pretty sarcastic about it, and at the same time, I know some people who have actually, and they work the natural law principle. So if it's on me, then I need to up level my view, my stance of where I'm at internally before I use those apps. Because if I don't, what will happen is that what I will attract in those apps is the shit show within me. So I know people who have worked the natural law principles to meet awesome people on dating apps. So I know it's possible. I personally, it never worked out for me, but I didn't give it all that much time. I gave it 2 weeks and fuck it. It's like, no, I won't do it. And I had every kind of weird shit. I even had my last date showed up in a Jackie Brown wig and size 17 Zanatti slingbacks and a form-fitting dress as a woman. I'm just like, dude, like, what the fuck? If you told me to come in drag, I would have dressed up as a man, whatever, I'm game. But you see what I mean? It's absurd. That is crazy shit. Whatever. Not for me, you know?
I
But
mean,
it's so absurd. And then just the preferences that people have. It's like, wow. And a lot of these preferences, unfortunately, are directly related to what they don't have within themselves, and they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for another person to complete them.
Yes.
It's not a good strategy, you
And
know.
Hélène brought up trauma bonding.
Yes. Oh, that is so intense. Yeah,
Yes.
that is a good point to bring up, because the trauma bonding is it's another hijacking within the matrix, where you think you're doing the great work, and then, oh, I found somebody who's just like me. We have the same shit. Yeah, you got the same shit going on. Okay. Because if you actually healed that stuff, you would not be attracting each other. It is a shit show. It calls out for codependency,
Yes.
dysfunctionality, one-upping each other, you know. Heal me, love me, feed me, make me better, make me whole. It's not good. So trauma bonding, you each have to be whole in your sovereignty to make a true go out of it. Otherwise, you're just going to be repeating. You're going to be repeating
And get stuck into this.
psychodramas again and again and again and
Yes.
again.
And it's
You know,
all
stay
about you.
single, stay single, work on yourself, get your sovereignty straight. And when you get your sovereignty straight and you can say, I am, to your divinity and your sovereignty, that's when you go out looking or intending to meet someone, to partner up with someone, because they're going to be able to match you if you're coming from that place. And they will be able to see you as your divine self, not somebody to rescue, you know, because that's part of the attraction. A lot of relationships, one's the victim, the other one is the rescuer. Trauma, it's not good. It's not good because it's based on codependency. The rescuer needs a victim. The victim needs to be rescued. These are not equal heart-based relationships. It's more trauma bonding, but trauma bonding in the sense of rather than victim perpetrator, victim rescuer.
Yes.
It's
And you have two persons that are broken, and they get
yes.
together. It's not gonna end well.
It's not a holistic relationship. It is, it's a relationship that is filled with unconscious compromises, and
Yes.
it keeps you each down. It doesn't actually allow for an elevation of either of you.
And I mean, it's so thank you so much, Maria, to have shared your wisdom with us tonight. I
Oh, you're so
appreciate it
welcome.
very much.
My
And
pleasure.
I want to bring you back for another, that we're gonna continue this
Anytime, just
conversation.
let me know. Let me
We're
know.
we're gonna continue this conversation, because there's a few things I saw in your videos, and I would be very interested to have you talking about them.
Okay.
And just Maria, just remember to people where they can get your work.
Okay, so my YouTube channel is LoveTruth&Beauty, and all my work is there. And my website is LoveTruth&Beauty.com. And you can hit me up there, and you can download my free class on what the fuck waking up is, because it's not exactly what New Age bullshit would deem it to be. And it's fun. And you can find me on the Facebook,
Mhm.
just my name, and I'm there. And I'm actually very, very friendly. I'm not an asshole, I promise.
We're both in the One Great Work
And
Network, by the
yes,
way. If you want to go see our work, everything is there almost. She's uploading all the time. And for myself, the LiberCast is on Facebook, YouTube, Library, Odyssey, and I'm not keeping Rumble updated, because I have too much things to do. But you can get my work there. The group on Facebook. You can join me. Fred Gingras is my name is no, it's not there anymore, so it doesn't matter. Everybody who's got there, thank you everybody who
Thank
shared
you so
and
much.
part of the comments. We had great comments. If for some reason it doesn't work here, for some reason I have to check that. There's always something. So
I know the fuckerias, the fusserias.
yes. If you like, stay with me a little bit so we can talk a little bit when we're done with the live, please, Maria.
Okay.
So thank you everyone. Hélène, José, Marie-Pierre, Sophie. There was a lot of women in the in and French people too. So I'm so happy to have you people in here and fresh faces for and all this information you can get on Maria work. It's awesome work. I'm following all the time when she have a video, a new video. I'm watching. It's awesome work. So go encourage her great work. So have a good night, everyone.
Thank you,
Take
loves.
care. Bye.